In this video, I'm going to assemble the bed and make sure everything fits. I'm also going to make the headboard and the side rails for the bed. Now you can see why I mounted those small angle blocks on the legs. That's to help hold the bed frame at the proper height to the legs during assembly. Now I'm going to use a 13/16 paddle bit, and I've put the tape at 5/8 of an inch depth, so I don't go any farther than 5/8. We don't want our screw popping out the other side. The reason why I'm using a wider spade bit or paddle bit is I'm going to use a washer so the screw doesn't suck through, because this can be taken apart several times. We don't want, each time you screw it in, it could go deeper and deeper and sink through the wood and come out the other side. So we're going to put a washer so that doesn't happen. A little bit dull. So I'm going to sharpen it up. The bit drills much better after it's been sharpened. If you want me to make a video on how to sharpen spade bits, let me know in the comments section. Now I'm going to drill pilot holes with an 1/8 inch bit. I only want the pilot holes into the bed leg, not the frame. I could take the bed apart to drill the pilot holes, however that's too much work, so I'm just going to put blue tape on the drill bit so I don't go too far through. You don't want to drill a pilot hole through both pieces because then the screw won't hold. Before I start screwing the leg to the frame, I want to make sure there are no gaps between the leg and the frame. This will ensure that the bed frame is tight and the legs won't wobble. Here you can see the washers keep the screws from burying into the wood. I don't have to worry about plugging the holes because the mattress in the frame will cover them. Now I'll finish attaching the legs to the frame. You can see here how I have both sides of the legs clamped to the frame to keep them tight while I install the screws. I'll install the 2 bottom screws first, then remove the clamps, and then I can do the 2 top ones. Now I'm going to measure for the headboards and the side rails. Here I'm using a piece of scrap board to act as the headboard while I measure for the side rails. The side rails, which are 52 inches long. I have plenty enough board left over to get 2 pieces out, so I'm going to cut this knot out before I cut my sideboards out of it. I'm going to get a headboard and a sideboard out of one 8-foot 2x6. I decided to cut 1 inch off the width of the sideboards and the headboard, so I have space in between the 2 pieces. Now I want to make sure they fit before I start routing and sanding them. I don't want them to be too tight. I want them to fit easily. That's why I'm double checking. After I make sure they fit, I'll start routing them. I'm using the same 1/2 inch roundover bit as I did on the frame and the legs. Now I'm going to rough sand them with 80 grit sandpaper and a belt sander. Now I kind of screwed up here. I should have belt sanded them first before routing them, because that might change the roundover of the board. However, I'm going to be sanding them with the Orbital sander, so I'll be able to bring the roundness back. Now I'll test fit them again and figure out where I want to drill the holes to mount them. Out of the boards that I ripped off of these to make them smaller, I cut blocks for 1 inch spacers. Now you can see why I ripped them down. Now I'm going to measure 1 inch in from the end and 1 1/8 inches from side to side for my screw holes. Now I'm using the drill press to drill holes. I'm using the drill press because I wanted a more accurate hole, because I was going to use plastic plugs to cover the holes. However, decided later on not to use them because I was afraid the baby would pick one off and swallow it. Here I'm drilling a pilot hole with an 1/8 inch drill bit. So this is going to be the headboard. These are the side rails so it doesn't fall out of bed, and he'll come in from over here. Now the change I'm going to make are these 2 legs here. I don't like them being this high up. I want them to be just below this line, kind of like how I have this side for the headboard. Now that I have the 2 side rails on, I'm going to mark the 2 legs at the foot of the bed and cut them down. Now I'll take the 2 legs off at the foot of the bed, cut them down, route them, and resand them. Now I've cut them down and I'll reassemble. Now you can see after I cut the 2 legs down, they come just above the side rails of the bed. Looking at it from there. Now I'm going to mark up pieces. I'm going to mark them in an area that will not show, so that when I do finish them, they'll be hidden. So I'm going to mark all the pieces, and then I'm going to take it apart and stain and put a clear finish on. And I'm marking them because I pre-assembled the bed, pre-drilled the holes, so I want them to go back into the same holes that they were in before. So that's why I'm marking them. Now I'm going to take the bed apart and start staining it. I'll show you how I stain and finish the bed in the last part of this series. Make sure you subscribe and hit the bell notification so you don't miss it. Until next time, thanks for watching.